I don't know exactly what this video is going to be or who it's going to reach, but I woke up today feeling almost like my system was buzzing with this energy that wanted to be shared with our collective here on YouTube. And I know that for whoever I'm speaking to here, this message is meant to reach you, and I'm hearing in due time. It's almost like there's a certain timing in which you are meant to be receiving this video. So it might come up for you when you are picking up some kind of thread that runs very deep in the core of yourself. And I kept getting this imagery around a core thread, a core part of you that seems to always exist beneath the surface, but at times it can lie dormant for a while. And I'm getting that as of when you are finding this video, you've been in one of those dormant phases. Now, that's not to say that the dormant phase hasn't served a purpose, because I really feel like it has. But there is this sense that you've been leaving this thread within you kind of untouched for a while, but you've had an awareness that it's there. And I know this is going to look different from person to person, but the sense that I keep getting is that this is some core part of you that follows you through every timeline, every dimension, every relationship, and every iteration of you. And that's really meaningful, especially in your case, because I'm getting that you are someone who does travel through a lot of different timelines and dimensions and versions of yourself. But somehow this core thread or this core part of you keeps all of these versions of you connected. So in a way, it is a sacred touch point. For some reason, that's how my guides are describing it, a touch point that keeps you connected with the common thread of your own story, that keeps you tied into this like core frequency within yourself. Now, for some of you, I'm getting that this could be some kind of dream or vision or a passion that you have. I'm not sure what this is for you, but there's a sense that you sealed off this part of yourself for a while, and that's this dormancy that we're talking about. There was a dormant phase where this part of you was sealed off, and I'm hearing it was for the purpose of survival emotionally or some form of self-protection. But the message that I'm getting is that you're ready now. You're ready now to pick up this common core thread of yourself. And I'm getting kind of emotional as I'm channeling this because I've been feeling this energy so strongly for you. And there is this sense that when you sealed off this part of yourself, you knew on some level that it wouldn't be permanent. You knew that you would be returning back to whatever this was, and that it wasn't the end, that this period of dormancy was, in a way, how you were preserving this part of you that was so sacred. Because I feel that during this dormant period, you went through something that was incredibly intense, but also very activating. So it feels that during this time, there was a sort of initiation taking place, and it may have looked like a dark night of the soul for you, where you felt like you almost had to exit your core familiar timeline and travel into these sort of like unknown spaces and places energetically that served a purpose for you, but also felt somewhat disconnected from who you really are at the core. It's almost like you had to like seal off this part of you that was so sacred, and then go on this very long journey spiritually into these other places and dimensions, or into other connections or groups or relationships that would feel like they were almost at odds with you, that would feel like they were very contradictory with you. And yet you felt drawn to them because I'm getting that for a while you were almost like retrieving certain things from those spaces that you couldn't have retrieved if you hadn't taken that journey. I know we're talking at such a high level here. These messages are getting really quantum, so I hope they reach whoever they're meant for, because I feel like even this reading in itself is meant to take you on a journey within yourself and to help you assemble the pieces of your own story, which I see you already assembling. But what I'm getting is that for a while, you were existing in timelines that felt really unfamiliar to you, and yet they served a purpose for you. What I'm getting is you may have for a while almost had this sense that you were in quote unquote the wrong reality, or this could have shown up in so many different ways. So for example, you may have felt like you were struggling to find your community or your people, or the relationship that you were reaching for just felt, I don't know, like impossible to find. You may have felt as though you were like missing parts of yourself, but you were also finding and retrieving parts of yourself at the same time. And I'm hearing House of Mirrors. Interesting. So this mirror kind of imagery was coming up in my meditation this morning, and I wrote down a lot of notes about this. You'll hear me kind of referencing those notes in the background, which, by the way, I saw this when I looked at the date on my notes. Today is the 222 portal. So it's no coincidence that these messages are coming up on a portal date, because I feel that regardless of when you are listening to this, whether it is on February 22nd or a different day, it feels as though you are almost being transported into a new reality, a new timeline. But when I say it's new, it's also deeply familiar to you. It's actually a return in a sense. The strongest words that were coming out here were welcome home. And I even wrote down, welcome to day one of your new life, because there is this newness in the air and this feeling that you stepped through some kind of portal and you are on this new timeline, but it's also a very familiar one because it's the timeline that's actually connected to the core, like innermost parts of you. And along with all of this, I received this image of your future self hugging your current self, like embracing you today. And it's almost like in this image, I was hearing your future self say, welcome home, and embracing you. And like that embrace felt symbolic in a way, like you embracing your whole self and embracing this timeline that you were always meant to be on, but that you couldn't be on unless you went out and retrieved these parts of you. It's very complex because it feels like this is where you were always meant to be, but also you couldn't have been here completely. Like you couldn't have fully merged with this timeline and with this version of you if you hadn't gone on that long journey where you were out exploring these timelines and places and connections and dimensions that felt very opposite of you or very different for you. Maybe I'm describing for some of you your entire life experience, like your whole life you've sort of felt out of sorts, or you've felt disconnected from your reality or the people around you or your timeline. But this is the return back home to yourself, spiritually speaking. And so going back to this House of Mirrors idea, I was picking up on this message that everyone that you've been meeting in your life, or at least most of the people you've been meeting, have actually been mirrors for you. But I was seeing them almost like mirror fragments, like they weren't mirroring all of you. Because if they were mirroring all of you, you would have felt a connectedness to them. I'm getting goosebumps as I'm channeling into this. I know that for whoever this is for, this energy is like really going to answer some core questions that you've been having. But I was seeing that every person you had been meeting or drawn to had been almost carrying this fragment of you. So they weren't reflecting you in your entirety. They were reflecting some piece or part of you. And I was seeing this like mirror shards or fragments of mirrors. And so you would feel drawn to certain people. For some of you, I'm getting that this was romantic, like you having different romantic experiences with lovers who would connect with a part of you or reflect something back to you But then it's almost like as soon as you retrieved that piece of yourself that they were reflecting to you, they would disappear or that connection would fade out because they were messengers. And whether it was romantic or not for you, I'm getting that all of these mere fragments in a way that you were attracting in through these connections, they were actually messengers in a sense. Not that they were doing that consciously, but I feel like they were unconsciously delivering back to you spiritual information in the form of this kind of fragmented mirroring. And they were all pointing you back to these pieces and parts of yourself that you were meant to be retrieving and like pulling into your being and assembling within yourself. So for example, you may have met people where you really admired or loved something about that person, whether it was a friend or a mentor or a romantic person in your life, but then you would come to discover that what you admired about that person was actually what they were reflecting back to you about yourself. So often what you felt attracted to or drawn to, especially in those situations where you couldn't really understand why you felt a pull or why you felt an attraction to a certain person or within like a friendship or whatever, you were unconsciously feeling pulled to the people and the things that held mirrors for you, that were showing you parts of yourself that you had been missing, that you were meant to retrieve. But I'm getting that a lot of that was shown to you almost through contrast, through challenge, through difficulty, through being in timelines that felt very off to you or that felt like harsh environments. And now this timeline you're returning back into feels so much softer and warmer. And a sign that this message is for you, because my guides were also giving me like all of these signs that you are part of this collective and that you're coming back to your home timeline, your core frequency timeline. Some signs are you will notice that you wake up with a newfound excitement and energy, almost like after feeling so dormant for a while or feeling like you needed a lot of time to, I'm hearing, to hibernate. Maybe some of you felt like you were literally hibernating for a while, but there's this sense that for a while you were kind of turned in on yourself, sort of like assembling these parts of you, which was a very energetically and emotionally intense process. And so because it was so intense, you most likely needed a lot more physical rest and sleep and recuperation. And so that might be that kind of hibernation energy that we're channeling into here. But I'm getting that a sign this message is for you, a sign that you're part of this collective, is that you've noticed yourself naturally exiting that hibernation, not in any kind of a forced way. It's just that your natural energy feels like it's returning back to you. You will also notice that there's this deeper self-connectedness to your own emotions. So you might notice that you're moved to tears much more easily, or you find yourself like tearing up in a happy way when you think about certain dreams or goals or visions, or even just the life that you're stepping into now. You might just feel more emotionally moved by things in general, even pieces of music or movies or art. Another sign is your world itself is starting to look more vivid. So colors are starting to look brighter to you. The world itself may feel like warmer in a way. When you interact with or meet people, you might feel as though there is this warmth in those interactions, or like you have a desire to open up more or to interact more, maybe even with strangers at times, because I'm hearing you're feeling so yourself. That is a sign that you're returning back to this core timeline. Another sign is that you will notice a lot of synchronicities. And for some reason, I was specifically getting something about music or song lyrics. So you might notice that a certain song comes on the radio or on your playlist, and then there's some kind of message in it that feels so direct for you, or just other kinds of synchronicities pop up in your reality where it almost feels like direct communication from your own spirit guides or your higher self, letting you know that you're on the right path. And finally, another sign is, and this is again related to music, but I'm getting that music might actually sound different to you. Like when you listen to a piece of music, you might feel yourself connecting with it emotionally in a different kind of way. It's almost like a spiritually transcendent experience for you at times. So these are the signs that I received that you are part of this collective. I know some of them are really specific. You don't have to be experiencing all of the signs, but the idea is that you're coming into this sense of belonging in this timeline and in this reality that I'm getting. You can't even remember the last time that you felt like this kind of deep fulfillment and sense of home is one that you most likely didn't even feel growing up or in your childhood home. It's like a very brand new feeling for you. And you might even find yourself wondering, like, do most people experience this? Have I been missing this feeling? But I'm hearing that what you're experiencing is actually very rare for anyone, that most people never get to access, in a way, this rare timeline that you've come into because they aren't willing to go on the journey that you went on in order to get here. So I don't know who this message is for. I feel like this is meant to be a shorter video, just like a transmission for you to confirm that you actually have shifted to this timeline that you've been feeling yourself on. And for some reason, here near the end of the video, I'm just feeling guided to reiterate that beginning message. Welcome to day one of your new life. And if you would like further support in shifting completely into this breathtaking timeline where you are really returning home to yourself, then I have created a subliminal meditation just for this, and it's called Quantum Shift. And this is all about you taking a quantum leap in your reality, just like I see you doing now. This subliminal really works with your subconscious, and it will help you to rewire any belief systems that may be preventing you from completely locking in this energy and staying grounded within it and letting it continue to flow and unfold for you. So I would love for you to use this as a support along your journey. And to get this subliminal, you can download the Sound and Soulful app. This is my passion project and an app I've created that I love, that I use every single day. And the link to get the app is in the pinned comment and description box under this video if that's something you're interested in. But I just want to close this reading by saying, wow, I am feeling such a sense of pride welling up within myself for you and for this specific collective that I'm speaking to here. And I wanted to say that because I do have to say that this energy has a little bit of an edge to it. So we've spoken about the softness and the excitement, but there is a little bit of an edge here too. It's almost like a butterflies in your stomach kind of feeling. It's a little bit of nervousness. It's a little bit of uncertainty. And a message that came through in my meditation is like I was hearing someone say, I don't know where this is going to go, but I'm feeling an excitement. And the response back was, you don't know because you're not meant to know where this is going to go. You're meant to be in process with it. You are meant to be letting it unfold in front of you. And it will, as you keep staying connected to your heart and following what feels the most passionate for you, what causes you to feel that emotion that we've been talking about, where you're almost moved to tears just by the beauty of things. Keep following that feeling and let it flow naturally. Because what I'm getting is, it's almost like you are being consciously protected from the bigness of your own vision. And I know that sounds kind of strange, but I feel like you're catching glimpses and flashes of just how big this is going to be for you and some of what is going to be happening for you, almost like a highlight reel, but it's like you can't grasp the full picture. And you may even be wondering, like, I don't even know how to define this energy or how to, I don't know, define this vision or set goals around it. And that's because you are not meant to be over defining it or over analyzing it. You're meant to be feeling it and flowing with it. And so continue to trust the process and to allow yourself to do that, because I'm getting that I'm hearing baby steps. You're taking baby steps into this, one small step at a time. And as you keep following that feeling and not letting the mind get over involved here, you're going to find that this unfolds into the manifestation of dreams beyond your wildest imagination. But this path requires you to trust it and to stay in the moment. And I actually get that that's part of what you've been trained to do through everything that you've gone through in your life so far. You've been really trained how to stay present with yourself and with the moment and how to surrender. And I'm hearing your life has really been so far a crash course in surrender, which is going to be so required of you right now. And there is so much more that I want to say on this, but I feel like this is kind of a beautiful bookended transmission in itself. So I want to release this out into the world first. But if you would like to stay tuned for the next transmission, then of course I invite you to subscribe to the channel if you're feeling inspired to it. And if you're on this path and you've been feeling this, if you're part of this collective and you've been experiencing some of those signs we talked about earlier, let me know in the comments. My comment section is always open for you. I love you. I am here walking this path with you. Things are about to get so beautiful for you. I can feel it. I know you can feel it as well. So I hope you have the most magnificent, magical day, and I will connect with you here again in the next video.